Hello and welcome to the walk-off, everybody. I'm Scott Belford, normally joined by the best co-host in the biz, Adam Mack. He is still a little under the weather, and he really appreciates all of you who have reached out. But the show must go on, and stepping up like he has the last week and a half, and so appreciated is our intern, Matt. Matt, welcome back, buddy. Thank you so much, my friend. I know that there's a few people who have said you're doing an amazing job, and one person who says, "Who's this nobody?" So it's good. You're really receiving the online treatment. It's the
I'm
whole kit and caboodle here.
I'm getting the full experience.
That's right, exactly. So this is mailbag. How we get your comments is you shoot a DM to us or on Twitter, however you want to go about doing this. Okay. So Twitter is at Walk Off Podcast. Blue Sky, we're there too. The Walk Off Podcast. I am trying to be a little bit more active on Blue Sky. I know that sometimes I've let some DM sit there for a few days. Apologies. Instagram, The Walk Off Podcast. Obviously, if you are a Patreon member, you get the Patreon bump, which means you automatically get your question or comment into the mailbag. On top of that, you get bonus content in MLB Mondays every single Monday, except for this week, which I released it yesterday on a Tuesday in true walk-off fashion. You also get instant access to all of our interviews and our shows before everyone else and the preambles. And then on top of that, as if it's not enough, you also get Baseball Town, the entire show, the day after, which is going to go this September 4th. We have Jonah Birnbaum of the Score on it. We have Chris Black of Sportsnet. We have a big surprise possible guest. Okay. So this is, if this guy confirms, I was texting with him yesterday. If he confirms, it's going to be a week out and it would be the biggest guest we've ever had, which says a lot because we have gotten some very big guests. I didn't even mention this to you yet, Matt,
Yeah,
but
I don't even know who this is.
I'll text you. I'll text you. All
Very
right.
subtly. You'll see my eyes light up at some point in the show.
Speaking of Patreon, we do have a couple new Patreon members to welcome. So, Golfy and Miranda B, welcome to Patreon. Thank you so much. We could not run the channel without all of you Patreon folks, so really appreciate it. And of course, a big thank you to everyone just watching right now. Let's dive into it. We've got some news that just broke right now. Friend of the show, MLB.com analyst Keegan Matheson, just dropped some information on this Shane Bieber 6-man rotation or whatever it's going to be. Matt, fill us in on how things are going to go down this weekend.
So Eric Lauer is going to be available out of the bullpen this weekend. John Schneider said it's not a permanent thing. It's not a permanent move to the bullpen. And then Keegan said it sounds like a flexible situation that could change kind of week to week. Like they might throw Bassett in the bullpen, they might throw like Lauer at a start, whatever. Just kind of see how the situation is. But for this weekend, it's going to be Eric Lauer.
Which is interesting. And I mean, here we are, August 20th. We've got about 5 weeks of baseball remaining. I think it's 34 games the team is at left.
Something like that.
Something
Yeah.
like that. I should have double checked before hitting this. By the way, well aware, everyone, this is being recorded right now as we look at the clock, 11:30 on Wednesday before the game, but we're not releasing it until after the game. So if there are some, hey, why aren't they talking about the Blue Jays beating the Pirates? Or why are they not talking about this horrible turn of events where the Pirates win the series? We just don't know yet. So that's kind of where we're at here. Let's dive into mailbag, Matt. We're going to start with Patreon. This one is from Brian Crawford. He goes, by the way, Brian Crawford is a reporter with JAYSprospects.com. And he has just recently sat down with RJ Schreck, who is outfielder in Buffalo. He has been honestly on the biggest hot tear in
Oh yeah.
2025. He has been on a tear. He is looking really, really good and may even be the next call up if they need an outfielder. And it's a great article, so check that out. Just a little love for Mr. Crawford, Patreon member here. So this is what Brian says. He goes, I'm indifferent on the Tommy Pham comments. Catchers have plenty of good ideas of the strike zone. Addison's suspension wasn't for steroids, it was for a prescription med. Does that pill help his performance? Maybe, maybe not. But the dude is just jacked. He loves the weight room more than most. He told me that in our interview. So just a little inside information there from Brian. And honestly, Tommy Pham's just being a loser. That's really all there is to it. Like he's just being a little bit of a I don't know. We don't need to get into explicits here. But
Scott knows how heated I got about
yeah.
this.
And it's you're not alone, Matt. It's funny how there were two responses to Tommy Pham's little temper tantrum that he had. First on the baseball field on Monday and then later on Twitter. And those two responses from Jays fans were either anger, frustration, and a little bit of lashing out. Some people even getting on Twitter and putting them in his mentions and being like, "You're a piece of shit," which not wrong. And then there's kind of like my reaction was just like, "Oh man, Tommy Pham is at it again. Look at this guy. Like he is just enigma. Like he's just such a there's a reason why this guy has been on so many teams, and it's funny to see a guy who is just good enough at baseball where teams will put up with it, and then also a big enough, I don't want to say cancer, but it feels like he's a cancer in the room. Like he's definitely a big enough, we'll call it personality, where teams shy away from it, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
saw at the deadline, there were a lot of teams that the Pirates would have loved to have moved Tommy Pham at the trade deadline. It's half the reason they picked him up to start the season. They're like, maybe we can get some prospects for Tommy Pham in July.
No.
And there was just a lot of these contenders looked at Pham and said, you know what? We don't want to mess with the chemistry we have in the clubhouse right now. And we're going to leave Pham in Pittsburgh.
He he dug his own hole.
He dug his
Like
own hole. He dug his
he
own
was
hole.
going after everyone who was anyone, and if you were a nobody, he was still going after you. He was just letting everybody have it.
It is too bad Addison Barger caught the stray bullets on this one because I don't think that that was fair to him at all. I know that he had to actually come out in a press conference and be like, yes, I was suspended in 2019. No, it wasn't for steroids like Tommy Pham says. You know what? He has his own thing going on. All the rumors is that it was amphetamine, which is in ADHD medicine, which has is why it's um what's the word I'm looking for here? Where exempt. He's exempt on that
Oh,
now, right? They make an exception on that.
yeah.
Chris Davis. Look into Chris Davis and his whole ADHD stuff, right? Or yeah, anyways. A bummer that Addy had to even
I thought that was
have a
disgusting.
response.
I thought that was like the number one like no thing is just to like start throwing open accusations without like any sort of foundation.
I don't
And
want to
then
spend go ahead.
he doubled down with Keegan Matheson the next day,
Yeah,
and the only thing he would say is he only speaks the truth.
right.
And, like he's just being like he was literally just attacking anybody who's like anybody he could find.
I think the way Tyler Heineman handled it really bothered him, right? Like he was just like, I don't even really know the guy. It was a super weird scenario. I have no idea what he was so upset about. And I loved he lashed out at Gary Sheffield Jr., which is so funny
Yeah, that
because
one was awesome.
Gary Sheffield Jr. sucks, and it's so funny when the guys who suck wind up being like the hero in the books, like just like because Gary Sheffield Jr., and I'm paraphrasing, but he more or less came out and was like, and this is what I said on MLB Mondays yesterday on a Tuesday, I'm aware. But this is what I said yesterday is I was like, it is so funny that he was so worked up about the catcher trying to massage the next call out of the umpire, something we see all the time, right? Is being like, hey, where was that one? Oh, that was outside. Interestingly enough, you called that a strike 1/2 inning ago against Davis Schneider, but okay, that's fine. You're the umpire, right? And Tommy Pham takes a personal offense to that. But, anyways, I don't want this to turn into the Tommy Pham show. This has been talked to death, so we're going to move along here. This next one is from Trevor, and he's talking about the Jays Rangers Friday game. He goes, the full Brendan Little experience tonight will be whack in the playoffs. 2 walks, 4 Ks, 1 hit by pitcher. Jays win. 2 wild pitches, too, in there. So let's pull up Brandon Little's stats here for a second. This is obviously one of the most dominant left-handed relief pitchers in baseball this year. Brandon Little has been an absolute godsend for this Toronto Blue Jays team. And much like many pitchers, when he's hitting his spots, he is dominant. When he's not, he walks 2 and has 2 wild pitches and a hit by a pit or hit by a pitch on his scorecard. So let's look at his yearly stats here. Matt, what are we looking at here for? Let's start with walks, hits, innings pitched.
Walks, hits, innings pitched.
Because
He's got a 1.33 for walks, hits, innings pitched.
an ERA around 3, correct?
ERA of exactly 3.
There you go.
He's pitched the most innings he's ever faced in his career. He's got 77 strikeouts. I'm looking at 12 strikeouts per 9, 6 walks per 9, 0.3 homers per 9, 6 hits per 9. Strikeout to ball ratio 2.1.
So this is really interesting when you start to dig into those stats because he doesn't really give up the long ball. He does walk more than you want to see guys walked, especially for high leverage relievers.
Yeah.
He does have big whiff and strikeout stuff, especially with that knuckle curve that is just when he is singing with that, my goodness, what a pitch. One of the best in baseball. And when he's lacking control, he's all over the plate and he can be a menace. And I think Trevor sums it up really well, right? The full Little experience. Like we literally saw all of it on Friday in the 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, 2 wild pitches, right? And the Jays still get the W. The playoffs are going to be whack. And you cross your fingers and hope that he's at his best is what it is. Because when he's at his best, he is unhittable.
Another thing to note, he has 5 wild pitches, 2 of which came in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
2 from Pittsburgh, or was it only 1 in Pittsburgh?
1 in Pittsburgh.
So, like, if we take out those games, 1 across the whole season.
So it has been more recent. Like, his lack of control has been more recent.
Yeah.
And that whip is concerning a little bit because if you go back in time to May, his whip was under 1. He was incredible. So he has been giving up, and it's the walks. That's what's raising it up to that 1.3. Brandon Little, he is an integral part of this bullpen, and hopefully this is the dog days of summer at all. I know that you kind of touched on it, Matt, that this is
exactly what I was going to say.
The most he's ever pitched. And the one thing I will say about Brandon Little that we can kind of lean on is last year in Buffalo, he was used all the time.
Yeah.
So he's used to being maybe not overused, but used to his max potential there. So again, neither Matt or I have a crystal ball. hopefully things just kind of level out, as these last 2 weeks of August are going to be weird. And this really is why they call it the dog days, right? It's just like you're not in the race yet, like obviously
Yeah.
people are checking the scoreboard and you're keeping an eye on the standings and all that stuff. And yes, it's great that the Blue Jays are 5 games up on the division right now, but I will say that when it really gets down to it is when the month starts with an S, right? So like
Yeah.
September is when things get intense, the monotony, if you will, of the season kind of comes to an end and you're just focused on the playoffs. So the Blue Jays just need to kind of try and wade through the rest of this August and keep their head above water, keep winning series, and we'll see what happens in September, and hopefully the bullpen kind of all comes together at that time. All right, let's move on.
Realistically, they just
Nope, go
need to
ahead.
coast. They
Yes.
just they truly just need to coast through August. They don't need to, like, obviously we want them to win series after series, but if they go two series here, series lost there, another one there, that's fine. As long as they're hitting 500 or more through this, like through August, they're fine.
Now they are on the road and they are playing soft teams right now. It would be nice to see them get this series victory in Pittsburgh. It would be great to see them take the series in Miami. However this plays out, it plays out. And when September's down and you're playing all of these division rivals again, that's what's really going to decide this season. They just need to continue to give themselves the best chance of winning they can, which is taking these series against these softer teams. All right, moving on to Ian. He goes, as a lifelong catcher, you nailed it, Scott. This is from MLB Mondays, which was released yesterday on a Tuesday. That's exactly what Heineman was doing, looking to get calls for both teams. From past experience at far lower levels, this banter works if you are reasonable and respectful to the umpire. So basically, I was talking about the Tommy Pham thing, and that Pham was so offended by Heineman questioning the call. And my take on it was that we watched Davis Schneider get called out on strikes on a very similar call just the half inning beforehand, and that a big part of what Heineman was doing was trying to buy himself a call in another situation, just being like, "Where was
Yeah.
that? That was there. Okay, well, I'll give that to you. Obviously, that's a ball, but I will say that a very similar call was made against Davis Schneider just the inning before, which was called a strike. So maybe even out the calls." And Tommy Pham took that personal. So,
It's just such a weird situation because the amount of times you'll see a batter do the exact same thing,
mhm.
it's just I think it was more just
I
like
mean,
an
I watched
ego.
Tyler Heineman be interviewed by Hazel May yesterday before the game, and she even asked him, "Is this something that happens quite often where hitters take offense when a catcher questions a call?" And Heineman's response was, "I've never seen it before.
Well,
I've
like
never."
even from a hitter's perspective, if you're questioning the call, like if this is my opinion, as like if the catcher questions the call, that still gives you an idea because the umpire is going to respond. So you know for future reference, like, hey, he's going to call this a ball more often than not. He's going to call it a strike. Like it kind of you get info both ways. Like unless Heineman was just like, this is a strike, this guy should be sat down, he doesn't deserve to be up there. I don't see how it was disrespectful.
Couldn't agree more. And same with Tyler Heineman. Going to Marcus G. Again, sticking with Patreon here. He says, a mailbag mea culpa for Adam. I thought you were crazy for suggesting game one Scherzer initially a few months back. But honestly, seeing the results and his intensity, unless Bieber comes back and absolutely deals, I'm all in on game one of the playoffs being pitched by Max Scherzer. He's channeling the 91, 92 old man Jack Morris. And you know what? I have to kind of agree with my co-host Adam here and Marcus. This was something that I disagreed on when he said it. I think it was about 6 weeks back. I just hadn't seen enough out of Max Scherzer to believe that he should be taking the ball in game one. Opinions change as more information is provided, And everything I've seen out of Max Scherzer is very exciting. Yesterday's game was incredible. This was a dude who was pushing 110 pitches, right? Big strikeouts and big moments. Bend, not break. 6 full innings, 1 earned run. What more can you ask from Max Scherzer? Not much. And I mean, they went out and paid $15 million for the experience for this Hall of Famer. Use it. So, yeah. And I don't know if you agree or not, Matt, but I
Wait,
personally, at this moment right now, Max Scherzer's my game one starter. And grounds crew, go ahead and drop your comments. Where are you at on Maximus?
I feel like game one, like I'm not saying no. I just feel like with the Jays, it's always up in the air.
Yeah.
Like you think he's gonna start game one. You think Gosman's gonna start opening day of the season.
You never know
It's
what the khakis are going to suggest. I mean, we did have prime Hyunjin Ryu in 2020, and they chose to start Matt Schumacher in game one of
I
their
just think
their Rays playoff series. So who knows?
I think what's probably gonna happen is I genuinely don't see a world where Bieber gets game one.
I think
Unless
Bieber is game two as well, and I think it's
yeah.
between Gauzy and Max personally.
And then whoever out of those two, whoever doesn't do game one
Does
automatically
game
gets game
three.
three.
Yeah.
But like I don't see just because Bieber hasn't played all year, unless he comes back absolutely dealing, he's easily game one or game two, and then it's a toss up between like Scherzer, Gosman for 1 and 3.
Very excited for Bieber start on Friday.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
I'm pumped to see how he looks. Like he looked so dominant in his rehab starts, but you're also pitching against minor league hitters. So the real test is going to be Friday in Miami, and it should be must-watch TV. So excited for that. Moving along to Johnny Eaton, sticking with Patreon here for a couple more. This is from the Friday show where we had special guest producer on Sportsnet, Austin Mackey. Johnny goes, "Preach, Austin, preach. Judging a player based on their contract makes no sense. Judging the front office for giving them that contract makes complete sense." This, of course, in reference to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We were just talking with Austin about how impressive Vladdy has been. And do you start to give him more leeway despite the fact that maybe he hasn't put up the power numbers everyone was hoping he would? But Austin's point was, and I've been saying sort of the same thing, is that this offense goes as Vladdy goes, and Vladdy has been selfless at the plate this year. He takes the pitches he needs. It's always about giving the next guy in the order his at bat. Does he make calculated risks when he swings for the fences? He's done that too, and his OPS is now right around that 900 mark. He has OPS close to 1100 since the All-Star break. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is putting together an absolute incredible second half of the
Oh
season.
yeah.
And you know what? If there is a I would far rather I would far rather any superstar in baseball outside of anyone on the Yankees or the in the American League East. But I would far rather any player, any superstar get hot at the end of the season than the beginning of the season. I mean, I think the 2023 Matt Chapman experience, all Blue Jays fans can speak to that, right? Sure, being Mr. April's fun, but being Mr. October is way more fun, way more desirable. Obviously, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. needs to step up in the playoffs, and we'll see what happens there. But for what he's doing right now, he is leading this team to the promised land as we speak. Hopefully, he is healthy and ready to come back on Friday. They did interview John Schneider yesterday pregame about it, and Schneids just kind of mentioned that right now it just looks like tightness. They did have an MRI, and there's no structural damage to this hamstring. They're just being precautionary. Gave him yesterday off. They'll give him today off. Off day tomorrow. So, you know what? A little bit of time off his feet hopefully does the trick. And if Vladdy's feeling well enough and still maybe needs another day on Friday, maybe they DH him and don't bring him back till first base. until Saturday. And Matt, that is one thing I will say because when they went out and picked up Ty France in the deal with Minnesota, Varland was a foregone conclusion as to the whys. It was obvious as to why they went out and got Luis Varland. But Ty France had question marks all around him. The fan base, myself included, was like, I don't really get the Ty France of it all. And as this goes on, and you're seeing Vladdy playing less first base, it all of a sudden makes a lot of sense to have a true, tried and true first baseman, a guy who that is his position playing
Yeah.
first base. It makes a difference. And I love Ernie Clement, and the guy will play wherever you put him, and he'll do it admirably. First base, definitely not his forte. We watched it a few times before they went out and got France. So to have that guy with the experience at the position, to have a man who can come in these type of scenarios and do a very good job, shut down job defensively, super important. And the Ty France deal is looking better and better all the time.
Yeah, and even on top of that, like they mentioned in the broadcast yesterday, with the Jays, he's batting over 300
Hmm.
since the deadline. He has an incredibly hot bat, and I was super skeptical when we got him. I was kind of like, oh, he's just like the throw-in piece. He's a huge piece of that deal, and he's playing So I was completely wrong. He's playing fantastic baseball, and it is nice to have that backup first baseman. He can come in when Vladdy's injured, and we don't have to feel kind of like a sinking feeling in our gut.
Yeah. Because first base, you know what? It's really interesting to see what's happened over the last couple decades with the way fans and the game of baseball view first base, which is kind of almost an afterthought, right? This idea that anyone can play first base. And it reminds me of the scene in Moneyball where they show up at Scott Hattenberg's house and Ron Washington is there with Billy Bean. And Billy Bean goes, you know what? Anyone can play first base. And Ron goes, sure, why don't we grab someone out of the crowd? Right. And it's like, and then he goes, it's easy. And then Ron Washington goes, it's incredibly difficult to play first base. It is incredibly difficult to play first base. And this narrative that anyone can be plugged in there is just false. And I think that it's a really good thing for the Blue Jays that they have a tried, true, tested guy in Ty France who can fill in there.
Oh yeah.
Moving on, sticking with Patreon. This is from Jeffrey M. He goes, "Hey my dudes, it's your friendly neighborhood sporadic podcaster Jeff. Baseball Town was awesome as usual. Just a reminder, September 4th is the next Baseball Town, last one of the year. Get your tickets now. It's going to be a doozy." He goes, "Now, here is my question going forward. Do you think Bo would move to second if he was paid like he was a top five shortstop? We all know flipping Jimenez and Bo defensively would appear to be a rather smart idea. After playing all this time, his defense is still below average according to metrics. Do you think he would put aside his ego to make the team even better defensively?" So, a lot to unpack here, Matt, because this is a lot of speculation in this question. Number one, does Bo sign back with the Toronto Blue Jays? I think that the Jays are going to be competitive and in the market for him. He is a homegrown talent. Another guy very similar to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's been playing on this team since a teenager, has deep roots in Toronto and has stated publicly that he really likes the city, that he really likes the team, and that he wants to play long term with his best friend, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Money talks. And
Yeah.
obviously, if there is a team out there that is going to blow the doors off everyone else, that's where Bo is going. There's a lot of need for shortstops around the game right now. New York Yankees at the top of that list.
You just made everybody listening. You just made all of them so unhappy now
Yeah.
thinking of Bo
Oh,
in a
believe
Yankees
me,
jersey.
I cringe just thinking of Bo in pinstripes. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. But in this scenario where Jeff is giving us the idea that the Blue Jays win the bidding war in free agency for Bo Bichette, I know there's lots of talk out there. Can they get an extension done? There is no way that Bo Bichette, 2.5 months from the promised land, 2.5 months from what every baseball player is attempting to do, which is get through that 6 years of service time with the team that drafted you so that you can hit the open market and have competition for your services and get the best pay possible. There's no way Bo gives that up. He, number one, being a Bloodlines player, knows too much about the game, is well aware that it's a business and it's not about loyalty. And on top of that, he's waited this long. I think he would have already signed an extension if this was something that Bo Bichette truly wanted to do. So, in this world, the Blue Jays beat out all of the contending teams for his services. Now, it depends what is in his contract. Depends what they told him when they won this bidding war. Because I do think that the Blue Jays have integrity with what they say to a player. I think that's a big reason why George Springer hit leadoff all of last season, even though there was no way he should have been taking the most at bats on that team. There's no way. I mean, he has a 900 OPS right now, Matt. Absolutely put George Springer in the leadoff spot. Let the man eat. But going back a year, it was not the case. And I do think that there was some things said to him when they signed him that they didn't want to go back on. And I think that they really needed George to agree to move down in the lineup. And I think that that's one of the reasons why it took until this year is that they had a real candid conversation with him in the offseason and kind of laid it all out there. And we're like, listen, Georgie boy, we maybe can save your career, but it's going to take you doing some things that are going to make you uncomfortable. Number one, you need to get out of the leadoff spot and start putting yourself into some situations where you can do damage. And I think that that is one thing that David Popkins really worked on and the hitting strategists in the organization. And now look, he's fixed. He's the best hitter on this team outside of maybe Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and he's back where he wants to be. So is there a world where Bo Bichette maybe signs this deal and they talk to him throughout the conversation or throughout the negotiations about possibly moving to second base? I'm unaware of where Bo is at. This is something we as fans are not privy to. How badly does he want to stay at shortstop? My guess is he wants to be there.
The
So
the other thing I was thinking about him not wanting to move to shortstop before is now that he's going into a spot where he's obviously going to sign a long-term contract with,
you're more valuable at shortstop, without a
yeah,
doubt.
with whatever team, you're more valuable at shortstop. And he's he already knows like the business side of baseball from his dad and he's had his experience. And moving like if he was at second base right now, he we would be talking in like the hundred millions. Maybe like still like the low 200s, but not like 280, 3 million or like
No one's
300 million.
talking the Xander Bogaerts deal about Bo
Yeah.
Bichette if he's playing second base, and I agree. And I mean, he's come this far as a shortstop, so maybe there is a world where if he gets signed for shortstop money, he is prepared to move to second base. Who knows?
I do feel like that would only happen with the Blue Jays though.
Yes.
I feel like if it was the Yankees or whatever other team, let's say they overpay for him. Like it's not going to be a Marcus Simeon
No.
situation where they overpay, not saying they overpaid for Simeon, but like they pay very, very high and he sells out and goes to second base. They're going to pay very, very high for a shortstop. The Blue Jays would pretty much be the only team looking at him as, okay, maybe go to second.
And how often do 27-year-old shortstops that lead the league in hits and has an 800 OPS hit the open market? It's not very often. So obviously his value is going to be at an all-time high. And where does that land? I don't know. When I first started trying to calculate what I thought was a fair comp, I was kind of on the Willie Adames. which
Yeah.
is, I think it's 7 years, 8 years, something like that, 180 some $1 million. I think that Bo has far surpassed that, and it may even be 100 million past that at this point, depending on how long teams want to go to him. And this is where maybe the Blue Jays allowing him to go to free agency might actually work in their favor. Now, this is a very, very dangerous endeavor, and this is something that we talked about with Jesse Rubinoff, Ben Schulman, and Keegan Matheson on Baseball Town last time. Was it's a dangerous game to play because maybe the New York Yankees are just going to be like, you know what? We desperately need a shortstop. This guy hitting behind Aaron Judge would be absolutely deadly. And maybe he is worth 300 million to the New York Yankees. I don't know. But the open market's an interesting thing. And if the we've seen lots of times, right? Look at Cody Bellinger. He wanted a mega deal, had to settle for 2, 3 years. So maybe that's where Bo is at. I don't think it is, though. I think there is a
No.
long-term deal. I just don't know if it's 10 years. We'll
10
need to see.
years for a shortstop is a little it's a little high.
It's
Like,
high in my opinion too, just because if you look at his metrics when it comes to his speed and his bat speed and all that
yeah.
stuff, it has significantly declined since he was 22. I mean, we all get older and we all slow down, but Bo is still just 27. So how much slower is it going to be at 32? Time will tell. And is this something that teams are pointing to? I don't know. I'm not sure how organizations evaluate free agents, especially guys with the sort of talent of Bo, but it is going to be interesting. So to answer Jeff's question, do I think that he would be prepared to move to second base? I'm going to say, yeah, if he gets the term and the money he wants to play shortstop, if the Jays go to him and say, listen, we want you to now play second base, there may be a world where he decides that that's fine.
Yeah, I would agree. My answer would be yes, but only with the Jays.
Shortstop money. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so only with shortstop money and only with the Jays because any other team that's signing him wants a shortstop. The last thing they're thinking about is second base.
Now, is there a world too where maybe you start seeing the Jays later in the game switching Bo to second and putting Jimenez at short? You could see stuff like that. This team has gotten incredibly creative defensively over the years, and maybe there is something up their sleeves that we didn't see coming. Who knows? Okay, thank you to everyone in Patreon. You know you are valued. We appreciate you all. Going to Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram. This is from Jason on Twitter. He DM'd us, and I love this one. All right, this is a fiery take.
This was one of my best. This was like I highlight which ones I like.
I
This was one of the
love
ones.
comments that you know are going to inspire more comments. So
Yeah.
get ready, grounds crew. Get your hands on your keyboard because there are going to be some opinions on this thought. So he goes, "Hey guys, fan of the show. Thank you, Jason. But I gotta say, the Miles Straw love is a little overboard. Miles Straw is still a bad contract. Like, yeah, the Jays got lucky. He's not complete shit, but still not a good trade if you ask me. So just a reminder that the Blue Jays took Miles Straw and $2 million in international bonus pool money from Cleveland. Miles Straw, the Blue Jays took on. So this is a breakdown of what they took on. So the Blue Jays took 11.8 million of the 15.55 million remaining guaranteed on Miles Straw contract. So 2 years. So they have them this year and next year. Now, this varies year to year, but there is always a dollar amount attached to wins above replacement. This is not perfect by any means in evaluating a player, and there's obviously holes that can be poked here, but I'm just trying to lay out the numbers for everyone. So, per Fangraphs, wins above replacement this year is valued at 8.2 million. He has been worth the following through 3 quarters of the year in this year one of the deal. So on Fangraphs, he's worth 1.3 million, or sorry, 1.3 F war, which breaks down to 10.7 million. So just under that 11.8 million that they're paying him for the 2 years. B war, which is higher because they value defensive metrics differently there. He's worth 2 B war. So that's 16.2 million, which is 5 million above the money that they're technically paying him. I know that there's gray area. Again, I know that this is not a perfect metric. And I will say this, it was a very bad contract at the time. And they did this to land Roki Sasaki, which they didn't. But on the field value, they are getting from him, I should say the on-field value that they're getting from him, plus the 2 million international free agent money. I mean, the Jays, I feel like they really came out of this looking pretty good.
Oh yeah, 100%. To add on your stats, I got baseball reference up and I did a quick glance. Third highest batting average in his career this year.
Mhm.
Best slugging, third best OPS, and third best on base percentage.
He is far, far closer this year to the 2021 season that got him this contract than he is to 2022,
Yeah.
2023, and of course last year where he spent in AAA. Also, let's not just discount this international free agent money, okay? Because I do want to talk about Moon Sejun, who is out of Korea, 18-year-old pitcher, huge for the Jays. Okay, Moon was supposed to be the second pick in the KBO draft, and he decided to forego it to sign with the Jays. This is a plus arm who has the potential to touch triple digits. Really, really good breaking stuff that is compared often to Shohei Ohtani. 18 years old, so he's young. A lot of development to go still. He could not pan out, but they did wind up signing him for $1 million. By the way, KBO rookies, even good ones, make at the most 30,000 US a year. So the signing bonus is far, far more than KBO rookies' entire salary. And that's probably why this kid decided to come to Major League Baseball. This isn't nothing, guys. You know,
It's
I
huge.
know I will say there is some luck involved in this. I don't think that even Ross Atkins, had you asked him at the time, thought this Miles Straw stuff would work out quite this well. And also, you know what? It's kind of the Ty France of it all we talked about earlier with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. This team would have been really in tough with Dalton Varsho out as much as he was without the Miles Straw of it all. And not just at the plate. Listen, Miles Straw is still a below average hitter, but my God, has he ever been incredible in the outfield? And I know we touched on this. I think it was in the preamble in Patreon, but he is still one of the top outfielders for outs above average. He's still one of the top outfielders for defensive runs saved. And this is playing 2/3 of the time. Miles Straw has been absolutely phenomenal for this team. And I guess you can be a curmudgeon and say that he's getting too much love from Jays fans and that it was still a bad contract and you know what? Everyone's allowed to their opinions. But on this one, Jason, I just honestly think you're a little out to lunch on this, and you just need to kind of take a deep breath there, buddy. I'm not saying that Miles Straw is the be all and end all, but he has been incredible for this team. And you know what? I don't know if anyone saw him mic'd up. I know it was on Apple TV, so it might not have been as available to most Jays fans. This is still a human being, right? Like, I mean, take the numbers aside. This is a guy that is truly beloved in the clubhouse. You watched it firsthand if you got to see the Apple game because he's goofing around with Max Scherzer. He's goofing around with guys in the outfield. The guys that he's playing the outfield with absolutely love him. There is a camaraderie there that is special. And every once in a while, things all come together when it comes to chemistry. Obviously, winning is a big part of that. Everyone talks about chemistry is something that is probably overblown when it comes to clubhouses. I know Keegan Matheson even talks quite heavily about the 2016 clubhouse. He was reporting on the Blue Jays in 2017, so he missed it. So this was just stuff that fellow reporters told him. But they weren't best buds. There were a lot of prickly guys in that clubhouse, and there were a lot of guys who maybe didn't even like each other that much, but they all respected each other. And I think that's one thing that you can say about Miles Straw. Whether people love his bat, it's proficient. He's come up in big moments, and he gets it done in the field. He wears his heart on his sleeve. The man is always covered in dirt, always. Even yesterday watching him, I'm like, Taylor, my wife, was just laughing. She's like, he's one of those guys who refuses to dust off his uniform, isn't he? I'm like, you know the game of baseball more and more, baby. Good for you. Yes, he is one of those guys.
The other thing I have to comment on Miles Straw, especially this, because I fell in this category of when we got him, I was kind of like, if we don't get Roki, this is a massive failure. This is awful. And I love him.
Yeah.
When you come in thinking, okay, this is awful. We got nothing. Like, this is bad. And for him to do what he's doing when you have those pretenses, how could you not love him?
Hmm.
When you assume you're getting absolutely nothing and he's giving you the world, he's giving you fantastic defense, 2 homer games, great camaraderie, great content mic'd up.
Stolen
Like,
bases,
yeah,
great base running.
you can't hate him anymore. Like
The
it's
ability to
crazy.
lay down a bunt, something this team hasn't been
Yeah.
able to do for years, and finally they can. I mean, the Ernie Clement thing yesterday was a little bit of a disappointment, but nonetheless, Miles Straw, man, I like the dude, and I totally am on board with him being a cog in this team,
Oh yeah.
especially considering, and you touched on it there. I mean, most Jays fans, I think most of us thought he would spend the majority of his time in AAA in 2025.
Like we all kind of had the assumption that he would just be there in case Varsho gets injured,
And
but
he was.
he's proven that he was, and he's also proven that he can play like healthy like amount of time,
He
and
can contribute.
he's not just like a reserve guy.
Going to Bree from Twitter. She goes, "Hey guys, I found your podcast last year, and I'll be honest, it wasn't one of my faves at first, but the more I listened, the more it's growing on me. I love it now, and I'm a big walk-off supporter and rarely miss an episode." Well, I'm glad you enjoy, Bree. She goes, "Just wanted to say thanks for all the hard work and content. This may seem like I'm buttering you up." This made me laugh as I was reading it. I'm like, okay, this is a mailbag question at the end. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, what a nice. She's like, "This may seem like I'm buttering you up for a mailbag question, which I guess I sort of am. But hopefully you can answer my question. Why was there no retribution for Tommy Pham being such an idiot?" Number
Because he was scratched.
Number one, he was scratched. I think even the Pirates were like hands in their face, just like, oh, why, Tommy? We don't want to deal with this. We just want to get through the final 40 games of the season and all get back to our lake houses. Why are you causing this shitstorm? So I think that's the big reason, is that it also wasn't an event big enough where the Blue Jays felt that they had to give some retribution. It is the Pittsburgh Pirates. They are one of the worst teams in all of baseball. This is an ownership group that refuses to pay for good players and keep good players. And why get into what could be a very dangerous scenario where pitchers are throwing at guys over Tommy Pham and the Pittsburgh Pirates? it's just not worth it. So I think that is the main reason why is just cooler heads will prevail, that old saying.
And this is also not saying he doesn't deserve it. He deserves it. He
Hmm.
deserves 94 to the back. Like,
Also, baseball has a way of remembering, and who knows if this is actually over.
yeah. It's well, like we're also we're 30 minutes to game time, and the Pirates do not have their lineup available to the public yet. Um,
Will be
so
interesting.
but I forget who said it. It might have been Keegan said it on Twitter. Someone said it on Twitter. Tommy Pham's not an everyday guy either.
No.
So it's like
It's
it was a
easy for the
miracle
Pirates. It's
he
easy
was
for
a
the
miracle he
Pirates
was in for
to
game one.
avoid this, like to avoid the heat and just keep him out of the lineup. I'd be shocked if he's in there today, but who knows?
Yeah. Like I would just imagine they're just gonna leave him out. There's no real point. Did you see, though we didn't talk about this, the Tommy Pham chants
Yeah,
from Blue Jays fan at the game
yeah,
yesterday? I was loving that.
that
I
was
was
so
doing
great.
that at home. But yeah,
Last one.
I doubt
Uh,
he'll be in.
last question here before we get to YouTube. We'll wrap this up. We are getting long in the tooth. Marique on Blue Sky reached out again. My apologies if I haven't followed back on Blue Sky. I know that you need to follow back to DM me. So just literally tweet at me, follow back, and I will. I know a few people had to remind me. I'm normally pretty good at following back, but I get a lot of follows and then I just miss some of them. Anyways, so Marique reached out and asked if I would follow back and then sent a message. Hey guys, why do you think Oh, sorry. Who do you think has grown the most, both mentally and on the field this season? Big picture, who has taken the biggest step forward? I really like this
I
question.
loved this question. This was probably my favorite question.
So let's each pick a guy. And obviously there is a myriad of ways that you could go on this because there are so many great stories on this team. There are so many dudes who have taken big steps forward. I'm going to go with Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
That was mine. I'll find someone else.
I decided to go with Vladdy for this because I really think that once he landed that contract, there was some major mental gymnastics he had to do to settle back into the core of this team, which he has done beautifully. I think it's one of the reasons why it took him till the second half of this season to really heat up and become the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. we all know he can be. There's a lot of pressure on a 26-year-old, especially a guy who's just was signed a check for $500 million. I know that that's not how it breaks down and that he's getting 30 plus mil, whatever it is, 40 million a year, however the money breaks down. That's a lot for anyone to handle, and I think it's really difficult to even wrap your head around that. Even as a guy who's a son of a former big leaguer, it's tough to wrap your head around that. He's literally like outside of Juan Soto, he might be the richest man from the Dominican Republic right now. I could be wrong. There's probably some big barons there mining or something that are richer, but who knows? But you know what? Like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. had all sorts of pressure, all sorts of stuff on his shoulders. There's the expectations from the fans, and then on top of it, the money compounds those expectations. So what he has done and the way the team has been able to rely on him, the way he's played first base, the heart he is showing. I think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is that guy. Now, again, there's a million different ways this could have went. I could have literally we just did all that talk about Miles Straw. I could have said Miles Straw, right? This was a guy who played the majority of the time in AAA last year, was finally given up on by the team that drafted him and developed him. This was a man who, when he came to Toronto, already had a disliked by the fan base because of the money and the way that it all went down and the way he's managed to overcome that and integrate himself into the clubhouse and become one of those fan favorites and become one of those teammates that everyone talks about and champions. Good on him too. Matt, who do you got?
So you took both of mine. You very, very strongly took. So I'm gonna go with number three, and this is a bias because it is my favorite player.
Yes.
David Schneider. I so I have always loved his story of 28th round pick, probably not gonna make the big
Hmm.
leagues, career kind of minor league guy. Starts off like the best way you could imagine starting your career. Cools off, has a rough season in 2024, rough start to the season, gets sent down super early.
Hmm.
And since he's come back, I've been very impressed
He's been
with just
incredible.
he's playing. So first off, he's not an everyday guy, and he accepts it.
Yeah.
Same with Miles Straw. They both accept they're not everyday players. Um, he's more patient at the plate than I think I've seen anybody. He really and I know he talked about this on I think it was Jay's talk, how going down to Buffalo, he really worked on like waiting for his pitches, like trying to leave like the crap on the outside, like the corners, bad calls, just like flow right by him. Defensively, he's showing, well, he just got play of the week. He's grown insane defensively.
He has.
Um, the power's back. It's just like it's clicking, and it's really when you go back to the first 15 at bats of the season where he went like 1 for 15, got sent down to where he is now. It's an insane turnaround. And also, he's a huge he's a huge presence in the clubhouse. He's
He
the
is.
the funny guy. Everyone loves him. Like it's
And he's
really
almost he's almost kind of the glue between the veterans who he kind of was there with in 2023 and these new crop of guys from Buffalo who kind of came up last year. He's kind of that glue that ties everyone together, and you love to see it. Grounds crew, go ahead and drop your comments. Would love to hear some of your thoughts. This is something that I'm definitely going to dive into on Friday, is kind of the who has taken the biggest step forward, big picture for this team, both mentally and on the field. Love that question, Merrick or Marik, and appreciate you reaching out. Drop your comments, folks. Going to YouTube here, wrapping things up. Going with Georgiati. This is from the Austin Mackey Friday show. He goes, awesome episode. Loved Austin Mackey on the show and his opinions. Thanks, guys. Yeah, Georgiati, thank you. YSF on the Austin Mackey goes, a video a day, 3 days in a row. You guys are cooking, Scott. So, of course, then we followed that up with nothing until today. So, yes, in true walk-off fashion. But I'm glad you guys enjoyed.
we
I
had to
know that
correct.
we had to correct. Exactly. Next one is from Disa on the Nene takes one, which, by the way, if you are a prospect fan across baseball, Nene just put out his top 100 prospects, and it is phenomenal. Check it out. Go to Twitter, Nene Takes. He's got it posted in his bio. And if you just want to check out him talking about the best Canadians and the best Blue Jays in baseball when it comes to prospects, check out the podcast from last week. So Disa goes, Scott, I always love your natural ability to edify. Matt is a font of baseball knowledge too. Appreciate you. So thank you, Disa. Very kind words. All right, last but definitely not least, Marcus loves watches on YouTube. Says, I like the idea of a Bassett Lauer home road platoon. But you guys poo-pooed my idea of moving Bassett for the LA Dodgers start over the weekend to the Cubs series at home during last week's mailbag. How is that any different? Question mark. Make up your mind, guys. And then
I I've been reading this comment forever, And yes, I did look back and we did really knock the move his start back. The only reason I will say we said do not move his start back, you don't have Bieber back yet.
Yeah.
There wasn't that option. Guys are going to be on 4 days rest. It's a recipe for disaster. Because once you slot that one, like once you take out that one slot, everybody moves forward. And it's known that like guys pitch worse on less rest.
Matt, I'm actually very excited to see how this starting pitching rotation winds up going the rest of the season here because there are so many more options John Schneider has in that toolbox now with Shane Bieber back. And very interesting that Eric Lauer is the guy in the bullpen for the long man role here. And that does allow them to maybe remove a starting pitcher earlier if they need to. Chris Bassett doesn't have it in Miami. Well, guess what? No big deal. We remove him after 2.5 innings. We put Eric Lauer in there and we're good until the seventh. Not a bad way to operate.
The other
And
thing is,
go
this is
ahead.
like a good, I think this is a good chance for them to manage pitch count as
Mhm.
well. Moving Eric Lauer to like give you 2, 3 innings, like it's a really good chance to like get some of your arms away from the 100 mark coming into the end of the season so you can be fresh for playoffs, fresh for like the last 2 weeks of the season. It'll be a good, it'll be a good chance.
Drop your comments below, everybody. Really appreciate you following along here. We'll try and get to some of this on Friday, maybe not in a mailbag type way, but I'll cherry pick some of the stuff I like and we'll talk about it there. And then obviously, mailbag next week, we'll dive into some of your comments. Baseball Town, September 4th. Joda Birnbaum of The Score is going to be on the panel. Chris Black of Sportsnet. We have a very special guest, possibly fingers crossed, confirming. We're also going to have another person on the panel as well. We'll see who that's going to be. I've got some irons in the fire right now, and we'll obviously keep you posted. Get your tickets, folks. This is going to be the last baseball town of at least the regular season. We'll see how things go. Maybe we'll try and have a big playoff baseball town at some point in October. But until then, this is it. So join the good times. If you haven't experienced it yet and you're in the GTA, I swear it is worth the $20. You're like, but it says 25. Well, guess what, folks? You use the code baseball, you save yourself 20% and you get in for 20 bucks. Don't sleep on these tickets. We're expecting a very good crowd. This is at Liberty Village Left Field Brewing. Great venue and just an all around really fun show. Hopefully, we see you folks out there. Matt, just again, man, thank you so much for filling in. You make life so much easier on me when I've got someone here to rattle off and ramble on about the Blue Jays with. So again, man, well done. Thank you. And
I'm always happy to be here.
we'll see you on Friday.
Oh yeah.
Cheers, gang.